let's get into our 2025 season preview, sir. I probably could have made a graphic that was kind of game by game, that was a little more suspenseful here, but we're just gonna put it all out. We're just gonna put it on the table. Yeah. There it is, sir. There is our 2025 game by game season prediction.
Script leaks.
Me being named green. My scores are in green there. Yours. Your name is your name is Underwood, but you're white. Whatever. I'm a white person. Exactly. So I don't think there's a lot to add. Marshall, I think we both expect Georgia to take care of business in that one. Name your score. Austin P, same thing. I think that's going to be a blowout. But Tennessee was the first game we both have on the schedule. I think, to me, 6 months ago, I would have said the most difficult game on Georgia's schedule is week 3 at Tennessee. Part of it, what Tennessee was supposed to be in Knoxville. Nico Iamaleava. I'm not even high on Nico, not nearly as high on Nico as other people. But year 3, second year as a starter, maybe this guy was going to come in and take his game to the next level. But really just how inexperienced Georgia is going to Knoxville. Third game, but basically the first game, the first meaningful game of the season. That was the reason it was such a tricky spot that I was really worried about this game. Now I feel like I'm still worried about the offense. I think we both kind of agree. You have 20-10 there. I have 23-20. I could just see this game being kind of a rock fight. Georgia not knowing exactly what they are offensively yet, but I still feel like they should be able to go into Knoxville and beat the Volunteers for what Kirby's never lost to Tennessee in Knoxville. So Tennessee's got a few of those streaks. They haven't beaten Alabama in Tuscaloosa in like 20-something years. Haven't beaten Florida in Gainesville in 20-something years. And they haven't beaten Georgia in Knoxville for 6 or 7 straight. Yeah. But what are your thoughts on Tennessee?
I mean, what was the last time? Was the Reggie Davis drop? Yeah.
20 because the Hail Mary was 2016. That was 2016. So the year before, 2015.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth with rock fight, because that's exactly what I was going to call this game too. These are two teams that I think at this point in the season are going to really be trying to find out who they are, what they are. Obviously, Georgia, we've talked ad nauseum about the amount of, different starters they have coming in or may not have coming in, just the amount of unknowns all across the roster that are there. And then Tennessee, kind of the same thing. They're losing I think they're losing like their 2 top receivers from last year, like Brew McCoy and Dante Thornton is gone, I think.
Yeah.
White. You have obviously the whole Nico debacle. Now you have Joey Aguilar, who just got named as a starter, coming in as your like transfer portal Band-Aid emergency quarterback. So yeah, I think they're gonna have like 2 freshmen starting on the offensive line probably. So I think this is just gonna be a really, really strange game. But like you said, Kirby Smart, for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, because he's Kirby Smart, just knows how to get these guys prepared to go play in Neyland. And yes, like, it is daunting for Gunnar Stockton's first road start to be in Neyland Stadium, which is why we both have it as a pretty close game. But I just ultimately think Georgia as a program is built to win games like that, even when they have so many unknowns on their team and everything, because, again, it helps that this is a Tennessee team that is in even more of a weird situation than Georgia is.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one thing as the season gets closer. Like we've talked all off season about how like this is just the most uncertain Georgia team ever. And then you start to look around the SEC, around college football. It's like, well, all things considered, there's a lot of question marks on a lot of teams. It might not just be Georgia. But yeah, I mean, and a lot of these games haven't even been close. Like 2017 was 41-0, 2019. I know that's the game where Eric Stokes had that hit on the quarterback, and Crowder. Yeah, that was a blowout. I want to say 41-10 or something like that. And then the 2021, that one was closer, about a quarter and a half, and then Georgia kind of took control of the game. And then 2023, I think that was the best game. That 2023 team played a lot of good games, but that was one of the best games Carson Beck ever played. Yeah. After they took that opening run all the way, it's like they didn't do anything for like the next 58 minutes of the game, essentially.
Yeah.
Dylan Bell's probably best game of his career as well.
Oh, easily. He went off that game.
Yeah, but Beck was just making some insane throws in that 2023 game, and Georgia just dominated. Was that one was it like 38-10? I want to say something like that.
I think it was exactly 38-10. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. None of these have been close in Knoxville under Kirby Smart. So this is, and both of us have clearly this being the closest game in Knoxville since Kirby Smart arrived. But this is where we differ, sir. Week 4, Alabama Crimson Tide coming to town for the first time in the Kirby Smart era. They will be playing in Athens. And maybe it's maybe this is wishful thinking, but Kirby sitting here at 1-6 against Alabama. Surely, Kalen DeBoer cannot just continue the domination of the Dogs like Nick Saban did. And Georgia, and man, you talk about, it's obviously just discouraging to lose Alabama in general. But what was they ended Georgia's SEC winning streak with 28 straight wins or something like that, 30 straight wins.
Yeah.
So for them to come in and end Georgia's 35 game home winning streak, whatever it would be, that after you add the Marshall and Austin Peay into it, that would just be such a buzzkill if Alabama ends another streak for Georgia. So I don't know. Playing in Sanford Stadium, the Tide haven't seen Sanford Stadium like this in a long time. Yeah, I mean, they haven't seen Sanford Stadium, period, in a decade. But I think 2015 with Mark Richt and company, that stadium was just people might think it sounds like you're a Fairweather fan, like, oh, once Georgia got good, it became a tough place to play. But it really was like year one of Kirby. Before Georgia was even good, it was like the fan base is just, we're all divided. Half of us don't want to fire the head coach every time we don't get a first down. You know, it's like it was just so toxic that last year or two, or honestly probably last 4 or 5 years under Mark Richt. Mm-hmm. It was like immediately in 2016. I know the Auburn game was one, the Tennessee game, both of those were just like insane environments. And it's just like, I think Sanford Stadium has just been a different environment since Kirby Smart got hired. And I think Georgia pulls out the win over Alabama, but you don't feel that way, sir. So what are your thoughts? Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree that Sanford Stadium is a crazy home field advantage, because it is. I mean, they haven't lost there in 5 years, but the reason I have them losing to Alabama now is just because, you know, it's a tricky point in the season. It's a late September game. It's Georgia's second SEC game against a program that, you know, they got them in the Natty one time, but other than that, you know, they lose to them a lot. There's definitely an element of that in there, just the history that these two programs have. I know that both of these teams are starting brand new quarterbacks and everything, and, you know, Alabama has a new play caller and everything, but I really just feel like Alabama has more figured out about its team than Georgia does at this point in the year. You know, they've got the stud wide receiver that nobody on Georgia can guard. You know, they've got a very good defensive line, good secondary, good offensive line. Like I expect them to be able to run the ball pretty well. I know Jam Miller might not play in that game. I know he's been banged up, but I just think at this point in the year, Georgia is going to still be kind of figuring itself out, going to be coming off of a weird game in Knoxville, whatever it is. And I mean, you're saying like, surely Alabama won't break another streak for Georgia, but like every time a Georgia streak ends, it's always Bama doing it. So I think I don't know. I just until I see otherwise happen consistently, happen more than once without the involvement of Keely Ringo, Alabama beats Georgia a lot, man, and I just think they've got them at a good time in the year. I think if you flip the Texas and Alabama games, if you put the Alabama game in November, then I might have a different answer for you. But I just think at that point in the year, I think Alabama has just enough to pull off the win on the road.
Yeah, let's all hope you're wrong on this one. So the last home game, so they lost the last one of Mark Richt, the last year Mark Richt, and the blackout game, and the last one before that I think was a win. I want to say 2003
when Georgia
with David Green. Home? Yeah, I think 2003 last time Georgia beat Alabama in Athens. And I think they blasted them, I want to say, in 03. Alabama obviously wasn't the same then. The 02 game in Tuscaloosa is the whole one where Pat Dye said Georgia wasn't man enough to go into Tuscaloosa. And that was like the headline was man enough. I remember that being a whole thing. But yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. So you have Georgia starting 3-1, and then I'm noticing a trend here with your offensive production. We'll keep it going. Kentucky, I think we both expect that game to be much different than it was a year ago. You have 24-3, I have 34-10, and then our graphic is cut off right there. You have 23-14 over Auburn. I have 27-23. But you have us going the first. I should say we both have us going the first 6 games of this season. I should say first 4 games versus Power 4 competition versus SEC play without scoring 30 points. Or I should say you do. You have the Georgia not scoring 30 points in each of the first 4 SEC games. Is that how you feel about Georgia's offense this year?
Yeah, I just think they have so much to still figure out, with your new quarterback and your new look offensive line and your new pass catchers. And, you have Nate Frazier coming back at running back. But other than that, it's a lot of new hands in there at running back too. So like I don't think the offense is going to be bad or like anything or unwatchable, but it had a weird start to last season when it had a more established quarterback and it had a better or a more established offensive line. What I think is probably a better offensive line in terms of just the personnel. And we saw them get off to a really funky start. And honestly, like Georgia's offense never really did fully round into form at any point last year. The closest they came was probably that Tennessee game. So
yeah,
I think that's going to, I just think that last year compounded with all of the changes in personnel that you have this year, I just don't think Georgia's going to be lighting it up by any means for the first month or so of the season.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Even was Clemson, was it 34-3 or 30-3 or something
34.
a year ago? 34. And it's like even that one, I feel like you go back, what was it, 6-3, I think, at the end of the half? And
6-3.
yeah, it took a couple big plays there in the second half to kind of break that one open. A lot of slow starts a year ago. So hopefully Georgia can change that. The Auburn one on the road at Auburn, we saw what happened the last time Georgia went to Jordan-Hare. Brock Bowers had to, put his Superman cape on and lead Georgia in the fourth quarter to that one. But the second half of the schedule, Ole Miss obviously just gave Georgia a beatdown like we haven't seen last year. Just an uncompetitive beatdown like we haven't seen before. But Georgia absolutely annihilated them in 2023 when they came to Athens. So maybe I'm splitting the difference there, and I think both of us have Georgia winning this one by 2 touchdowns. I'm just really not sure what to expect from Ole Miss. I think the defense is not going to be the same, but the offense could be, every bit as good. It's Lane Kiffin. It's Austin Simmons has a lot of hype around him. As good as Jackson Dart was, it wouldn't surprise me if their offense is just as good. But I think this defense is why it's the defense is the main reason I think 2023 is the best Ole Miss team we'll ever see. I just don't think Lane Kiffin is capable. I think that's why it was such a missed opportunity because they did not make the playoff because they weren't good enough. They didn't make the playoff because they didn't take care of business against the bad teams on the schedule. Yeah, against Kentucky, against Florida. LSU wasn't necessarily a bad team, but just a team they should have beaten a year ago. So I think hopefully Georgia rights that ship and beats Ole Miss like we both think. And then we both have Florida being a close game. You have Georgia 32-26. I have Georgia 27-20. I think there's a lot of talk that, if DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt, Florida easily wins that game. It's like, okay, he was what, like 2 for 6 or something, 3 for 6 or something when he got hurt. He obviously threw that one long touchdown pass, but with how it turned out, and that was one of Georgia's more forgettable games of the season. It was not a great performance. CJ Allen pick late turned it into a 2 touchdown win, but we were sweating that one for a while, and it didn't feel good at all.
No, it did not. Yeah, I totally agree that as much as I hate to admit it, Florida is slowly inching its way back towards relevance. We started to see the first few inklings of that last year, especially towards the beginning of that game. So yeah, I mean, I know they've had a ton of injuries to a lot of key players in camp, especially including to DJ Lagway. But assuming that he's the guy and he's healthy going into this game, I think it's going to be be a pretty entertaining game. And if Lagway is healthy the whole time and he's nearly as good as he's supposed to be, shouldn't Florida be ranked by this point in the year? Like this should be a pretty good game, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's Florida is just I group Florida, Auburn, and Oklahoma in together. I'm kind of like with every conversation I've had with people this offseason, like those three teams just feel like, yeah, they could all win 10 games, they could all win 5 games, and I wouldn't be surprised either way. Like we could be talking about Georgia, Florida being college game day, a top 10 matchup, and we could talk about Billy Napier not even being the head coach by the time they get to Jacksonville. You know, I mean, with that schedule, it's just who do they have before? I mean, they got Miami and LSU. I know both early. I mean, Texas A&M absolutely took them to the woodshed last year in the swamp, like in Kyle Field. Like it's hard to imagine that one being much different.
They have Texas before us too.
Oh, is that probably, and then the bye, Texas in the bye, and then Georgia.
It's okay. No, they play Texas October 4th, so that's like it's Texas.
Oh, okay.
Then they go to Kyle Field, then they host Mississippi State, then the bye. Gotcha. So honestly, they might not be ranked by then because
I mean they could be looking at 3 or 4 losses.
Yeah, dude. Dude, 3 straight games. This is insane. 4 straight games. They have LSU, Miami, Texas, and Texas A&M. That's like, I don't feel bad for them or anything, but that's like really hard.
No, it definitely is, and I feel like their entire hopes and dreams are being put on DJ Lagway's shoulders, and it's like. The fact that this guy's had some difficulties staying healthy last year in the spring, whatever rumors are of him being in a walking boot or different things throughout this offseason, I think that's massive. But still, maybe it's just the PTSD in me as a Georgia fan in Jacksonville. But it doesn't feel like it's going to be easy. Maybe I should let that go. Georgia's got what 6 of the last 7 wins in this series, so clearly the rivalry has changed, but. I don't know. This year feels a little different. It feels like Florida's got some momentum, and if they can be sitting at least like at most 2 losses going into that Jacksonville game, it's going to be a rowdy environment for sure.
Yeah, or maybe they lose like all those games, and then they just want it so badly to beat Georgia, and then they kick into another gear that they didn't even have, and then they take out all their frustrations. So
yeah, there is that.
Florida. We keep hearing that they're finally good, so they better be, because we both have this being a 1-score game. We could have both been way not nice. I almost just put this game as 65-7 just to do it, you know. So
no, I don't see that happening. Exactly. Then the Mississippi State game was another game that I think gets kind of overblown last year. It was not pretty, but it's like Georgia, I think, was up like 28-10 or something going into the 4th. They had a pretty big lead going into the 4th, and then started giving up huge plays offensively. Like, I think it ended up being 41-31 or something like that.
I was more sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was more mad about that game than the Kentucky game last year. I thought we played terrible in that game.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely didn't play well.
Georgia deserved to lose that game.
I would say. I disagree.
Dylan Bell, if that insane Dylan Bell play didn't happen, there would be nothing memorable about that game at all. That game.
I'm not sure I even remember the Dylan Bell play you're talking about from the Mississippi State game.
Unless I'm thinking of a different game, there was a pretty insane Dylan Bell touchdown that happened in that game. But maybe I'm just thinking of a completely different game.
Okay, you could be right. Nothing's popping up out of my head right off the top of my head, but you could be right about that one.
I swear I'm not making this up.
The Kentucky game was way worse though. That was a way more losable game.
Yeah. If it wasn't Mississippi State, that might have gone completely differently.
No, that's probably true. And that quarterback is now the Van Buren, now the backup at LSU. So
he did. Okay.
Yeah. So there is that. So I don't know if they can necessarily build off of their performance from a year ago.
Are they starting Zach Calzada?
No, Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky. Blake Shapen, Baylor. Yeah.
Blake Shapen. That's right.
Which, he's been solid at times, but I don't know. Mississippi State is probably Mississippi State and Kentucky are probably the two worst teams in the SEC this year. So, those should be
As
some
usual.
Yeah, those should be not as usual because Vanderbilt is usually down there. It feels like Vanderbilt actually has kind of a pulse right now.
No, they do. They're 8th-year quarterback.
But yeah, we both see that one being a pretty lopsided. You have 41-10. I went 37-17. And then spoiler alert, we both have Georgia going 11-1. This is my one. It killed me to do it because I don't want to pick Georgia to lose a home game. I just want to keep that streak going on forever. But I feel like this team just doesn't feel like a 12-0 team. And if I'm picking the best team on Georgia's schedule next year, I think it's the Texas Longhorns. So I got Georgia losing to Texas 27-20. You got Georgia beating Texas 26-24. Why am I wrong, Bo?
Because Georgia owns Texas. I think that's all it really comes down to. That's not a great reason. So I'll elaborate a little bit more. But yeah, I think that them getting Texas, a couple weeks later in the season than they did last year. This is November 15th type game or something. I think Georgia's going to be pretty. I think we're going to know a lot more about Georgia at this point in the season. Obviously they'll have 8 games under their belt at that point, and it just comes down to, dude, I know what I saw last year. Texas had a better football team than Georgia, and they played them twice, and Georgia won both times, and neither game was even in Athens. And I know that Texas is well, they're not they're the preseason number 1, and hand them the trophy now, and they have Arch Manning at quarterback, and it's going to be so great, and they spend all this money on their team, but I'm not buying it, man. I don't think they're going to beat Georgia, because if they didn't beat Georgia last year, then I don't know, man. You couldn't beat them at home with the Zebras throwing you a lot of bones. You couldn't beat them in the SEC championship on a neutral field when their starting quarterback got injured at halftime. When are you going to beat them?
Yeah, you're not wrong, and you're at least keeping your same energy because Alabama's dominated Georgia in recent years, and you went Alabama, and Georgia's dominated Texas. I guess just last year. I don't know if you're having some audio issues over there. I heard a little something. I don't know. A little scratching or something.
Scratching me. Oh wait, I know what it is. Hold on.
But I'll keep it going. But yeah, Texas, I think and I'm not even as high on them as some other people. I'm not the one that's predicting Arch Manning to win the Heisman or anything like that. But I don't know. I think you're not wrong that it felt like they were a better team than Georgia a year ago. That's why I think most people picked Texas both times these teams played, and Georgia still found a way to win. So hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully Georgia keeps that domination of the Longhorns going. But I think that's where Georgia gets tripped up for the first time next year.
I'm sure it'll be a hell of a game. Yeah, I hope it's a more normal football game than either of the other two have been. But honestly, probably not. It's probably going to be chaos and disorder once again. So I'm excited for that game.
For sure. And then the worst game of the season, and I guess Georgia might have the SEC championship locked up by the time Texas comes in, if I'm correct. Right. And they're sitting at a 7-0 conference record, with that being the last one. Because I just always hate when Georgia's schedule turns out like this, and it's got the cupcake after the last SEC game. So Georgia ends SEC play in mid-November. It's just always such a bummer, such an anticlimactic way to end the season. No disrespect to the 49ers out there, but Charlotte, I don't think is going to give Georgia much of a game. I see you did go the 65-7 in this one, a repeat of the TCU national championship game. I went 48-6. I think we both see these games being blowouts. And then the last one, Georgia Tech. I have Georgia Tech 34-27 after that 8 overtime game a year ago. You have 40-24. Georgia's winning this one by 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions. Why is Georgia gonna have an easier time with the Yellow Jackets this year than they did last year?
I just think Georgia Tech really snuck up on them last year, and Georgia will not allow that to happen again. Because Georgia Tech, I mean, they were a pretty good team last year, but they should not have been in that game with Georgia at all. I mean, Georgia should have dominated that game, but they just were asleep at the wheel for the first like 3/4 of it. And I think that game was a huge wake up call for them, and I also think that them moving it to the Benz is going to be a huge disadvantage for Georgia Tech, because unless they're literally playing in Bob, I know it's the same city and everything, but like
Georgia does own Bobby Dodd Stadium as
I've
well.
just always, yeah, I mean, I've just always felt like unless the game is literally in Bobby Dodd and the stadium is 95% Tech fans, Tech is not going to beat Georgia. Maybe that's just me being stupid, and Tech is really different this year. But you know, they had a key loss in Eric Singleton to the portal, and last year just really feels like that was their opportunity to get that win, and they didn't get it.
It does kind of feel that way, but I will give them credit. Most times, I would say when Georgia Tech has beaten Georgia, they've caught a sleepy team, or even if they keep it close, they've caught a sleepy team, a noon kickoff. But that one last year being Friday night, Black Friday and everything, like a big time night game, it felt like there was the big game atmosphere. And they just, I don't know. I want to give Georgia Tech credit because they were a good team a year ago. And I think they'll be even better this year. But I mean, they kind of dominated Georgia for the first 2/4 of that game a year ago. So it's hard to say they were sleepy. Like Buster Faulkner was dialing up some things and giving Georgia a lot of trouble. But another game where Carson Beck really kind of single-handedly led Georgia back into that one. And they were able to get it done. But yeah, I don't know. I see that one maybe being close again this year.
And it could be, man. And maybe I'm just overcorrecting because of how crazy the game was last year, but it's, yeah, I mean, anytime a team takes you to 8 overtimes, they're probably capable of beating you again. So maybe I'm just being too optimistic and I'm blinded by the rivalry aspect of it all, but I really think that move to Mercedes-Benz is going to make a difference in this game. Not a positive difference. It sucks that it's there. It's terrible, and I don't like it at all. But for our purposes, I think it might lead to Georgia winning by a lot.
Oh man, I wish I had the rivalry name off the top of my head. What is it? The Invesco QQQ Atlanta Showdown or something?
Showdown. It's so annoying, dude.
Yeah, it's clean old fashioned hate until anyone says otherwise. Caden the Diesel Freak chiming in here in the live chat as well. Georgia's going 12-0, and I heard about rumors of John Gruden coaching at Georgia. John Gruden was being wined and dined at Georgia and seeing everything, but I don't think there's a chance John Gruden is the coach. I don't think he's going to take on a Will Muschamp analyst role or anything like that. He's definitely not replacing Kirby Smart. So I don't know. He talked about wanting to coach in the SEC, so who knows who that is. Is it Florida if they fire Napier? Is it Auburn if they fire Hugh Freeze? I don't know, but I don't know. John Gruden, and didn't Tennessee do this for years? Throw around John Gruden. Yes. You know, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not going to speculate on John Gruden joining the SEC, but I don't know.
John Gruden has been on a crazy image rehabilitation tour over the past year or so after getting fired for being racist and homophobic by the Raiders. So now he's you know like a football content creator. I think he works for Barstool, and now everyone loves him again.
Yeah.
So, it'll be we'll see if he makes his way back to a big time coaching job. Because
I'd be surprised. He still does a great job with Gruden's QB camp and all that. But yeah, a little
Chucky.
I don't think the Spider 2Y banana is coming to Athens, but
probably not.
Who knows? Quickly, sir, we'll wrap up here. These are our game by game predictions.